Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Hulk Busts on Discord still.
Mm-hmm.
This is Jeremy. I go by just Jeremy or something on Discord or whatever. Hashtag who gives a fuck.
I have to say it. Fucking Jeremy staring at his fucking models, not fucking trying to talk into his muted mic while we just wave our
That's
hands
awesome.
at him. Fucking goddamn it. We're so good at this.
Oh, shit.
I, sir, am a podcaster. This is as good as it gets. That's it. This is
the pinnacle of podcasting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I kind of hope that the dead sound eliminator doesn't get rid of that 5 seconds.
Yeah, no way it would get rid of 30 seconds of dead air, right?
we're frantically waving our arms.
I was looked over. I'm like, is there a fire?
Do I have dick on my face again?
Jeremy, you're on fire. Oh, shit.
There's a spider on you.
There's a spider on you.
Jeremy, can you do me a favor and read Parker's Discord name for me?
Oh, did it? Okay, hold on. I have to.
Well, he just lied to the people at home. So
Did he?
Why does it say dot?
That's
it's
a Discord streaming issue because you're streaming your screen, so it's trying to hide your friend's
One
name.
who busts us.
Oh, that's right.
It's just one who busts.
That's right. I was wrong.
Anyway.
Is that a porn name?
You're either really bad at blackjack or you're doing the music for a 1990s or 1980s ghost hunting.
Let's be fair. One Who Busts is very accurate in terms of my gambling acumen. It works on multiple levels.
Yeah. All right. News. Do we have any news?
No
Did
news.
They release any affiliation lists or anything? Because there's model releases?
No.
Okay.
It's all
right,
quiet.
That's fine. We will jump straight into currently playing. For me at least, I got one game in last week, and the plan was to play the Tricks and Traps list. Unfortunately, that did not happen. The only person available to play by the time I got free to play games was a person playing Loki, and I thought playing the Loki mirror seemed less than entertaining. So instead, I played Red Skull 3 into Loki. So I played the list we built last week. It went pretty well, and it had some interesting revelations. It probably would have gone better if my attack dice were not shit, but, it was still a fun game. I intentionally dazed my own Black Bolt on the first round, which is a play I highly recommend. Let's see what happened. I placed him forward with Red Skull. He used Scalpel to place Black Bolt forward. Black Bolt then got attacked and took 2 damage. Oh no, he took 3 damage. Then he shot somebody. Loki dealt him a damage for rolling a skull, because of course I rolled multiple skulls.
Mm-hmm.
And so then on the second attack, I decided to use Mordo to kick in an extra 2 dice. So he shot... Oh, actually, I think he master punched and jumped into the fray with the extra 2 dice. And it was actually a great attack, but then he dazed automatically because of Mordo's effect. Then the next round, obviously he flips in perfect position to whisper 4 people. He was still in Mordo range, and I still had Red Skull's leadership on the board. So I did that as the first activation, and I rolled about 60 attack dice. I think I did 9 damage.
Oh,
it was great.
Oh,
because let's see, it's 10 dice, so I hit 4 people. That's 40. I had a Zemo reroll, and I had the Inhumans reroll, so that's 12 dice per attack is being rolled.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite as efficient as a full 12 die attack. Then I had the Red Skull leadership on top of it, and then I also had Mordo kicked in an extra 2 dice on top of that. And so it was 50 something dice.
The Mordo dice for the beam, does it work on it doesn't work on every attack, or does it just
it's just one?
One, yeah.
There
are some effects that do that, right? There are some if you pay to give yourself extra dice on the next attack.
There's nomenclature that works on that, and it's the wording is on the next attack action you make add 2 dice.
I see, yeah.
And there's several things that do that. I think joint effort is one of them. Anyway, so he took like 4 or 5 damage from Loki, or he took 4 damage from Loki because I rolled multiple skulls in every single roll,
Oh,
because that's what you do. I mean, it's like 10 dice, so
Yeah.
it's fine if you get multiple. It's just you'd hope it wouldn't be on all of them. But yeah, I didn't daze anybody with that. I just hit 4 people with it. He goes. I think he activated Lady Sif, and she did some stuff. Then I activated Logan, because Logan was also in the middle of everything next to. So he started next to Zemo. I did a regular attack with Mordo again, kicked in 2 extra dice. He does the attack and then places on the backside, and Tornado Claws back through everybody, and he dazes 3 people because they had just been whispered.
yeah.
So it turns out if you just throw 100 dice worth of beam attacks at your opponent, then you do daze 3 people. But that was about the only time in the entire game that my attack rolls did fucking anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a super fun game. I did like Black Bolt in the list a lot. There was somebody else in there. I can't remember who else we were testing. There was one other. Logan was the other unaffiliated.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was fun. I liked it. I'm excited to play more games with it. But I think I'm going to go back to the original plan, which is try and play the Spider Foes list.
I haven't looked at his leadership recently, and I don't have it pulled up in front of me. Do you have to spend power, or can you automatically opt to take damage?
If you use the leadership, you must lose a power. If you fail to lose a power, you take damage.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so there was a lot of times that I took damage because you spend to 0 with a spender and then trigger the leadership. There was a few times I took damage. Then obviously Mordo's taking damage as well. It was definitely a bloody game. I actually, Logan actually one-shotted Loki because the Whisper attack dealt 0. The 10 dice with 2 rerolls and the 2 extra dice dealt 0 damage to Loki. But then later Tornado Claw just one-shotted him, so it didn't matter.
Tornado Claw. I can't hear about Tornado Claw. That's a thing from Marvel.
Berserker Barrage.
Yeah, Berserker Barrage. Yeah.
Anyway, that was my games of the week. What did you guys do?
Jeremy, did you play any games? I can't remember.
I did. I played a couple games. It was Quentin's birthday, so I gave him a present. It was one of the reasons sometimes I hate this fucking game. He lined
I thought
up,
it was a present.
I lined up, and he took basically 0 damage from a million models doing 1 million damage, but the spiders just blocked it all for no goddamn reason. He won on 3. Yay, what a game it was.
I think I overheard him say something. He blocked 6 and actually prevented 6 damage on one attack.
Yeah, it was
Something
pretty
silly.
brutal.
Yeah.
Went after Miles, with models that should kill Miles twice over, and it just didn't. Everything I did, he basically dazed everyone on 2 or 3. I think it was on 3, with his all webbed up. So he got all his dice. I got none of mine. It was just one of those games. I mean, it's Marvel dice.
Yeah.
And then I played another game, and I ended up winning that one. I'm just playing Defenders with a big splash in it. That's all I'm doing. I've got Thanos, Hulk, Immortal Hulk is kind of my drops. So I try and play a big guy with all the other little guys. And I actually need to fix my my missions that I'm using because they're just not the right ones. I changed my list, but I didn't change my missions. So, yeah.
Do you want to talk about it now, or you want to just work on it later?
No, I'll get it later. I know what I need to do. I'm really good on bees, and I don't have any bees in there. Mine are all
seems
E's.
like an oversight. Yeah.
So, yeah. Easy to fix.
All right, Parker.
So me and my incredible ADHD pulled me onto yet another one of the lists that I pitched on that long episode where I talked about all the lists I made when I didn't get to play for a couple months. And so I tried the Black Order list and got to play against Zach. And that was the Professor X game against Zach. So I can't remember who I played in Black Order. I played 2 games of Black Order. But it was exactly what I thought, which is they're kind of difficult to blitz down, a little bit hard. No, one of the games was against Zach. He was playing New Mutants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was.
Yeah, I think he turned his X-Force list into a New Mutants list.
Yeah. And so I was playing. I played Corvus Glaive leadership both times. The Thanos is not really for his leadership. I usually do unaffiliated with Thanos. But the first game I got to do the standard package of 17 points, Corvus, Black Swan, Black Dwarf Proxima, but it was 19 points, so I also played Nebula, I think. No, it was...
You played 20.
It was
one of the
20,
games, so I
because...
walked over and was like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this is a lot.
Yeah,
And
it
you
was
played
20,
Shuri.
so I got to play Shuri. Yeah, she was the last one. And I really loved using Black Onslaught to fling Black Dwarf onto the midline really early, and so on top of 2, he played Venomized, and he just stayed alive forever. One of the adorable things I love with Venomized and that faction is you can play Blood Despair with it. So at one point he tried to daze Black Dwarf, and Black Dwarf just used Blood Despair to just come right back to life, and he was like, well, shit. So he ended up like, I don't know if he dazed somebody, but he definitely like chunked somebody down for 4 damage, came back to life, and then he just kept killing
his
things.
Black Bolt. I think he interrupted a Whisper attack.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So it was Venomized is, I think, really, really good for Black Order in general. Like they have 4 characters. Like CGR can use it. Black Dwarf likes it. Corvus Glaive is an interesting choice, but it's possible. And Thanos, of course, likes it. So, and all of them can use Blood Despair. So it makes them, not only are they hard to kill if you leave them on 1 or 2, they'll just come back to life. But now if you kill them all the way, they just come back to life also. So you have to kill them from 4. But the funny is, Blood Despair doesn't mean you don't have to attack the character that killed you. So if anybody's within range 3 with some health, Blood Despair will still go off. So Blood Despair Venomized is a really great combo. It feels awesome.
It is a great combo. It's just really expensive because you're giving up an action, 2 tactics cards, 3 power, and having to actually get it to work.
The reason why it feels pretty good, I think, with exactly Black Dwarf, because Black Swan is giving him so much tempo earlier in the game. But again, you're paying for all this with expensive characters and stuff, but it works. In my second game,
I think I like it more on Corvus, if you could ever justify Corvus playing Venomized.
Right.
Which is rare, but it obviously there's points in the game where it's like, well, he doesn't really have anything to do because he killed the guy in 1 attack, so I'll just play it.
Yeah. Yeah, there are things... I really like this. It's one of the coolest places for it, I think, because you can put it down and go, I could use this anywhere situationally, as opposed to, I need to find a way to script this into Hulk's turn 1. You're like, no, you don't. Just play it sometime. The next game I played, at that time when I actually went for CGR and Nebula, Shuri, Corvus Glaive, Proxima. So I had the chance to play Black Swan and Black Dwarf again, but I just wanted to play CGR. I just wanted to... I don't really think I got to see what CGR does or does not do in the current meta, because my dice just rolled all over. Like they didn't really get a chance to play the game, because everything just he was playing defenders and everything just kept getting one-shotted. CGR was one-shotting everything. Then Corvus Glaive was one-shotting everything, and Nebula was also one-shotting everything. But I think that's kind of the point of Black Order, right? They go really, really big, but they're a dice-based faction for the most part.
Corvus is the only one in there that actually should be one-shotting people, and even his dice aren't that consistent. They're just good.
I guess one-shotting is not the word.
Nebula should not be one-shotting.
One activation people is what it was happening.
Well, sure, but even doing the math on like Nebula spear throwing and then placing and attacking again is not killing most models.
Right.
And that's even like on the good average side.
I was not banking on Nebula doing that. That was a bit bizarre, but...
Sure. Because like even if you just do the math on 2 5-dice attacks, you're only generating like 6 hits, and that's on the good side average. If they just block 3, you're not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just happened to roll like a crit and re-rolled
exactly
and re-rolled
them.
them.
No, I know what you mean. Like it definitely, like we live in a world of chaos when it comes to dice.
Yeah.
Like just because it's a low percentage to hit 10 on 5 doesn't mean it won't happen. It just means it'll happen when it pisses you off the most.
I've decided that the list if the meta stays as it is right now, I think you could play Black Order and expect to get to, have a reasonable expectation of getting, getting, somewhere deep into the tournament. I think it's probably like a 4-2 list, because if you ever see a scenario list, you just get toasted. I think you could try to play against scenario. I don't know how you keep up with them.
So, obviously having a giant Achilles heel is a fucking problem when it comes to the tournament list. But how does it do against the other fighty lists in the meta, you think?
I need to see it against like the Zemo, Namor, like style, but it's faster tempo than them because usually they don't do their thing until turn 2, and the list is usually on you on turn 1, like making attacks, big ass attacks.
Which list doesn't do it on turn 1?
The Zemo Namor list usually is starting on turn 2 because they can't get Zemo or Namor 1 extra power. Usually.
Well, I mean, Namor just takes the Time Stone, and he gets it on his own. Then you play I'm a Baron on Zemo, and he gets it. They both have turn 1 power gain.
Okay, sure, but if you're paying 6 points for Namor, and yes, you could do that. There you go. So there's a tempo version. I haven't seen that one, but maybe that's really popular.
That's the only version of list I've really seen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I have not played against that version yet. I think
Aaron's the only one I saw that was adamantly against taking the extra point cost for the Namor.
Oh,
I've never actually tried it yet, but maybe that's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, making him into a turn 1 attacker is a massive increase. Because if you just look at it from the fundamentals of, like, I'm buying Namor for 1 threat value for every round he participates, and so normally he participates in 5 rounds of combat. By making him a 6-point model, he now participates in 6 rounds of combat. Like, that's the way I kind of look at it.
That's interesting.
He's so... yeah.
And just more power gain on him in general is good, but also having the Yahtzee reroll is pretty good, too. It's like, oh no, I actually didn't roll well. And you're like, we'll just try again.
One of the things that I noticed when I was playing Hulkbuster, and I think I said it back in the review episode with that, is that list struggles a little bit against DR because it's usually just doing like 2 attacks or maybe 2 attack throw. And you want to do like 5 damage in attack, but if you block 1 and DR 1, now you're doing like 4 damage over a round, and that's just not enough if the model attacking back is consistent enough. So I think with models like CGR and Corvus in the list, Black Dwarf rolls a little bit more dice than other models do. Black Swan is probably the one who's like least consistent on attacking, but she can turn off their dice as well pretty consistently because she has MODOK's force field, sort of.
Yeah, she's not like the Apex Predator that we have in the meta, but she has a good kit.
So I think that's my theory craft is that it would do really well into the aggro lists. I think it would have a fair or better than fair chance. But maybe I'm wrong, and somebody could show me the great error of my ways.
The issue when it comes to the aggro list is you need to play like 10 games because the dice are so swingy that like you might get like a good priority roll and then like play that into an advantage, and then your dice just get hot and it feels like it's an obvious free win, and then you play again and it's just the reverse is true and they roll you over, and it's like, well shit, I thought I had this.
Right. I've been looking a lot at lists that shave off just a little bit of damage because I feel like that's the thing that's gonna make him.
Damage reduction is obviously very strong.
Yeah,
and that's part of the reason I think Namor is so premium, is because he picks up a lot of those 3-point models that most people can't. Because like Luke Cage, for example, basically has 8 hit points to anyone else in the game. Well, he's only 6 to Namor, and Namor does 6 damage with 2 attacks.
Right.
And so just out of nowhere, he can just cut Luke's head off, and it's a totally different game.
Yeah, I feel like I need to see Namor into a list full of DR, like Black Order tends to have, and see if he's just, like you said, like an ace and just flies through everything, or, he just has bad game twice and that's his tournament.
Well, just like as an example, let's say you activate and move up Corvus Glaive against a Namor, and Namor has priority for whatever reason. Let's just as an example. Well, Namor can just, next to last activation, charge in, kill Corvus Glaive pretty consistently, and then just first activation next round, kill him. And it's like, if that actually happens, which isn't a guaranteed shot, it's just like, I think if you did it 10 times, it'd probably happen 6. If we set up that scenario where he had prio and Corvus had already activated, I think he just kills Corvus. So like 6 out of 10 times. I think that's crippling for your list. But there's the 4 out of 10 it doesn't happen, and there's the many times he can't set up that situation.
Right.
And so I think it's an interesting game. And so it comes down to who gets the big alpha strike.
I also think there's something the Black Order list has it is, and I think we talked about this a long time ago when we were talking about back when Corvus Glaive got his tactics card. It is a fair list, just demolisher. It just rolls over fair lists. And a lot of
you talk about Black Order?
Yeah. I feel like Black Order takes the fair list like Predator concept to the absolute max, because at least in my personal experience playing other
I don't
lists,
feel
feels
that it
rolls
does.
over, but
I think that's more of like a small sample size, like RNG situation. But I could see it working. It's been so long since we've seen that list be functional that it's hard to just look at it and predict what's going to happen. And you've definitely played it more than I have, so
yeah, I'm gonna keep piddling around with it and see. I don't think it's changing at all. I think I just need to see it thrown into more things. I played it last time I played it seriously was at our local convention 2 years ago, and I played it like all weekend long, and it was doing very, very well until it ran into other Apex lists, and it just couldn't quite keep up with those. But that was way back, and that was like literally like 4 minutes.
That's basically
ago.
where Black Order's been since the Stone update.
Yeah.
Or I guess when Follow Me got banned is really when it was there. Because it still had legs when Follow Me was there, and you could take 4 activations to 1.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it died. I think it actually died when Corvus Wife got shrunk, and you couldn't combo into objectives easily, so you can't do that anymore. Yeah,
that was a big hit. I think it still had one specific thing it could do, which was take too many activations in a row. And that's when Parker was playing it at the shop.
Yeah.
And then they banned Follow Me. And I think that was the final straw. Because I think it was Follow Me went right after Field Dressing did. And so it was separated, but it was close together. And when they lost that, because before they were basically going Corvus, Proxima, and what's the fucking other person? Black Swan would all activate in a row. And then it's like Ebony Maw or something is left over, and it's like, oh my god, like they would just daze 3 people and you wouldn't even lose prio for it because they all counted as 1 activation. It was really dumb.
I think the Blood Despair Venomized is that good. Maybe people would disagree with me. I think the ability to potentially take down opponents' models and save yours on their turn is just so backbreaking. And the fact they have so many models that can play it and not feel like a giant tempo loss, it feels like a good thing, like a good idea. I'm excited to continue, playing with it and seeing. Maybe I play 4 games and it only happens once, and therefore probably not as good as I thought. But so far, so great. So far, it's not a win more card. It's a turning point card. It changed the game. So we'll see.
I would say the counterplay issue with that is there are a bunch of people in the meta that prevent reactions. Not a bunch. There's a few things in the game that prevent reactions right now, mainly Emma, and some people still play Mystique, and then like I've been playing Happy Birthday Run a lot, and there's stuff like that prevents the reaction. But there's also just going to be some times they can line it up to where it's like, oh, you only have 1 hit point left? Well, I'll just throw you, and you don't get to play Blood Despair, or whatever it happens to be. Or it's like, I'll just get out of range of your attack and then kill you. Like there's ways around it, but it is very easy to lean into if you're trying to stop them from counterplaying it, right?
Yeah. I basically have 3 off-meta lists that I think have legs right now that will surprise people. And that's my favorite thing to do to bring. I'm looking at something to bring to Warfare Weekend. And so it's this one, the Hydra concept, which I haven't got to play recently. We just thought about it. And that was the one you're excited for me to see, I know. And then the Hulkbuster list. So right now I'm just kind of tossing these around and juggling them and seeing which one I'm most excited about. We'll see.
Cool. All right, Parker, you wanted to talk about a silly list build.
Okay. So I have a silly list build idea that I think will be fun. I am challenging the other podcasters and myself to pick 3 models in the game. And I mean that literally. So having nothing to do with their rules, their point costs, their affiliations, you are just picking 3 literal models that when you look at this model, you're like, that is an awesome model. I want to play that model because it looks awesome. Maybe it's because of its posing or because of how you painted it or because you think it's great, rendition of the comic character. You'll tell us why you love it. And so if we each pick 3, once we get done, each picking 3, that'll be 9 models for our little list. That's just models you like to play because they're the models. And then we'll pick a leader for the list. And it might be Emma or might be Dormammu because
it's going to be Dracula.
It could be Dracula, yeah. So it could be something like that. But the 10th model will be we'll pick a leader.
We'll find a leader,
yeah. And that'll be our fun little thing. What do you? So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was just confirming, are we supposed to choose them on merit other than rule mechanics?
Yeah.
Because you just said a bunch of things that weren't game mechanics.
Right.
Should I only pick them based on non-game mechanics? Or because obviously I'm not picking them based on synergy.
Right.
Like, that's a no.
No.
But it's okay if I just like the model's rules.
I was specifically going for the model, the plastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Then it just changes my list a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I think I have one of my 3. I also like their rules, it just so happens, but I didn't need their rules to be cool to want to love this model. Like, that's...
Sure.
Like, you might love their rules also, but the model to you just is so... You just love it, and you want to see the model, because that's how much you like the model. And, of course, we will judge you based upon it. And or rather, you guys will judge me, because you guys know a lot more about modeling than I do.
Well, you're going to fucking choose the most white bread bullshit ever. So. Jeremy, are you ready to go, or do you want some time to think?
No, I'm ready. We're going to just do
All
it.
Right, why don't you go first?
I get to pick one.
So
right?
give us the model, and then give us a brief rundown as to why you like them.
Alrighty. I'm going with Carnage. I think that the model is so fucking cool. Carnage was created during the time of me in comic books, when I used to read comic books all the time. Very big into Spider-Man and all that shit. And I was very psyched about Carnage. And I love that model. I love just the idea of Carnage. It's cool.
Was that one of the very first models they actually made for this game that had multiple variants? Like, you could do his different hands? I think he might have been one of the very first ones they did that.
There was a couple. He was one of the earlier ones, though, yeah.
I love that, because you're talking about, like, from the comics, right? Like, that was his whole thing, is like his hand constantly becomes a different, terrifying bladed object. So I thought that was super cool that they let you change his hands.
Say Thanos, I think, might have been the first,
because
he had the different head, different hands. He had there was Beast, Wolverine, Cyclops, a lot of the mutants.
What
right?
was
Deadpool
Wolverine's?
had a ton. He had the no mask, right?
Mm-hmm. Mask.
There was
just like Wolverine face or the mask.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know if I ever noticed that.
Oh, it's because you didn't build it.
Yeah.
The first model you ever built was Crystal. Fucking cheater.
She's not on my list for
Inside
obvious
story.
reasons.
We were up at the shop playing games, and Parker's raving about how great his Inhumans list. It's got so many great turn 1 plays. I'm like, really? I didn't think that. I mean, Lockjaw's good, but like, I don't know how many they had.
This is in between. I had just played a whole game with her, by the way. So not.
He had been playing with her.
Yeah.
And I sit down and I look, and he's like, yeah, I can't believe there's a 3-point model that's a long move on a medium base. And I'm like, there's not.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, Crystal does. And I look down, and sure enough, his Crystal's on medium base. I'm like, am I an idiot? Like,
nope.
And I sat there and I looked at it because it looked right because her little base decoration's so big.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that looks right, but that's not right. And I walk over the wall and I pick up the box. I'm like, yeah, you're a fucking cheater. So basically what had happened was this is one of the first boxes he had built before sending to his painter. Mm-hmm. So he opens the box, he dumps it out, and he goes, oh, look, 2 medium bases, 2 models. We're good to go. And just threw the small base through in the trash. He's like, I don't know what that's in here for. We're going to move on. It's because it gives you 2 medium bases. You didn't even think about it.
I think I had bought a bunch of models that day, and like you said, like all the small bases just got put in a pile. I didn't realize that.
Right, and even though like you didn't have any other medium based models other than that box, but when you have a pile of small bases, you don't think about who goes to what.
Right.
It was just funny.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So Jeremy, that was your first one.
Yep.
What's your second model?
Oh, I thought we were gonna just go on a.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna go.
We can. Okay. We can. That's fine. I'll go next then. My next one up is Punisher. The visual model in this game is not particularly exceptional, and one of the reasons I originally had chosen him is because I think he is one of the most fun kits in the game, but also he's just one of my favorite comic book characters. I like the grittiness of like how he approaches stuff. I remember the first time I ever saw Punisher was in the Spider-Man PlayStation video game, which was pretty cool. That's where I really got introduced to Marvel in general, because I didn't read comics back then, so that was my gateway into Marvel, which was pretty fun.
Wow, I would not have picked I would not have imagined you would pick this character because he's kind of a static, just the usual wing pose.
The physical model, yeah. But when you said models, I assumed you meant the game mechanics,
Oh,
not
no.
the figurines, and so.
But if you like his model, go for it because you love his design. Go for it, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So my first one is actually going to be Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme. I think that model is just so fucking cool.
It's pretty cool.
Like coming out of the dark dimension with like the magic effects all around him. Super cool looking. It's got like a giant like clamshell, like or a semicircle thing that he's like popping out of. That shape is just awesome.
I'm not a fan of his like Ultimates uniform. I much prefer like the classic Doctor Strange look, but the model is very good.
That's actually not the Ultimates one, but it's one of his. It's one of the 616. But yeah, it's one. It's one he only had for a little while. Sexy Strange, as we like to call it, right? He's sleek.
All right, Jeremy, you're up again.
I'm up again. I really like. Is it Spectacular Spider-Man, the one that's got the web everywhere and he's just kind of flying around?
The Spectacular Spider-Man is the one jumping up off the ground to get away from the symbiote.
Yeah, and he's got the web kind of around him.
I think you're just thinking of the Rivals box.
The Rivals box Spider-Man looks awesome.
He does look awesome. So it's because there's the original one is kind of bad from the core set.
Yeah.
Then there's the rival panel one where he's got like the web all around him. He's like making a whipping motion,
and he's like
the Amazing Spider-Man's coming off the tower. And then Spectacular Spider-Man's jumping up in there also with web around him, but he's jumping up away from the Venom symbiote. And those are the 4 Spider-Men.
Let me see here. Yeah, it's Spectacular. He's got the web coming out of his hand and kind of flying out. I think that model is fucking
3
fantastic.
Of them. Yeah.
Spectacular. I love that, just the pose. Like, to me, he's the perfect, like, young adult Spider-Man style of just, like, body flinging himself around. Like, I really like that one, and it was fun to paint. It was a good one.
Yeah, that one's definitely. They managed to capture, like you said, the youth somehow, which I think was really cool.
Because he's like not really muscular. He's just kind of like athletic and flinging.
Lithe.
He's like made of rubber.
Very lithe.
All right, it's back to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand the assignment still. I thought you were talking about something else when you described it still. So now if we're just going off the look of the model and not like them from the comics, like the IP, then I will go with Immortal Hulk. I think Immortal Hulk is one of their best models.
Okay, you took one of mine. I got to go with another one. Yeah,
it is.
Also, and I think we talked about this a long time ago, they just took the panel, the Immortal Hulk like art from that comic, where he looks a little bit different. He looks like more monster Frankenstein-y.
He looks like Frankenstein.
Yeah, and they just like took it right out, and it's perfect. It's one of the coolest 3D representations of a comic book I've seen, and I've seen some of your awesome resin stuff you do from the Stuidos.
The Stuidos.
I really like the model. It's a good choice. All right, I'm gonna go with. I feel like our list is going to have a lot of symbiotes and spider people on it, but man, I love Agent Venom's model so much. I want to play Agent Venom. Every time I see that model, I'm just like, that is so cool. Guns on symbiote arms. Yes, please. I love.
I don't know if you've read any of his comics. Does he do that in the comics as well?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yeah, it's very true to form. Yeah, Agent Venom is just super cool.
All right, Jeremy, what's your final one?
This one's harder because I really like. There's a few here. Let's go with. God damn it! I mean, I'm gonna go with Deadpool. Like, he was one of the first models that came out, and his attitude was like built into the model with just his. The words underneath and the smoke and these flying around. Like, and again, Deadpool was a part of my generation of comics. I really like that. It was very cool. Deadpool.
Yeah, they definitely turned a corner. That was when they started really understanding what they could do with the plastic material. Because despite being with a Matrix company prior, they had never made really injection molded plastic models outside of like machines. And so understanding like the thin cuts, the flexible pieces, the alternate parts, and all that.
Another amazing, bizarre thing about that model, as long and as like wide and spread out as those tiny little spindly bits, his sword has never broken or bent for me. Like
my sword did break, and it's I find it really frustrating. And again, it's my own fault because guess what I did, Parker?
You put it in pluck foam?
No, I let somebody borrow it.
Oh.
Like, all of my breaks are from letting people borrow shit.
Yeah.
And it's always at, like, the worst spot that makes it really hard to repair.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tell myself I'll never let anybody borrow my shit again. And then I'm in the store, and someone's like, oh, I left my stuff at home, I won't be able to play today. And I'm like, fine. And then they break it, and I'm like, great, I'm so glad I'd let you borrow my shit. I am very careful with my stuff, and I always assume that when you lend things, people will be equally as careful, if not more so, because they're handling other people's stuff. And so it always bothers me.
I knew it had to have blown your mind that after 3 full days, I gave you back Wong still in together, right? That was like
I assumed he was going to be broken, yeah. Well, I just know you have such a bad track record of like squeegeeing your models off your magnet tray.
That's a whole different
with
thing.
Like part of your car.
Oh man. I just joined the magnet crew. I don't know if anybody knows this. If you didn't, I bought one of Brandon's awesome Sweetos. Tournament kits. It was called War Organizer, right? That's what.
Organizer.
Yeah. And I installed the magnets per his directions, but I did it so well. My magnets are so like flush with the bottom that they are very strong. And I went to pick up. Thankfully, this hadn't happened in the MCP models, but I went to pick up one of my Judgment models, and I literally stripped every limb off of it as I tried to pull up. I just literally I tried to grab the base, and my fingers slipped off the base, and I went. I
remember we talked about this specifically.
I know.
Like, I don't know what idiot wouldn't be able to pick it up by the base. I'm like, well, it's hard sometimes. Yeah. You're like, no, it's easy.
And literally
later you just
all that was left model was like his one foot on the ground, and he had lost every other appendage.
Which model was it?
It was Styx. The
Styx. Oh man, that sucks.
That's awesome.
Literally every single thing except his one leg and body.
That's great.
Yeah, that thing is fiddly as fuck too.
But it was perfect.
All right, so my next choice after Jeremy's Deadpool would be Hulkbuster. Okay. I think Hulkbuster and Immortal Hulk are the two best models in the range, and it's convenient because they also are meant to fight each other, which is cute.
Yeah. You get also bonus points for the. I think the Iron Man is by far the coolest Iron Man as well. Like the Tony, the little Tony that comes with it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I call it the rescue suit or the evac suit. Yeah. But I think the new Iron Man is slightly better.
It definitely
they're both good.
Yeah. Oh man, I have to choose. Oh man, this is gonna be really hard. I sometimes I walk over to my big, bookshelf full of models, and I see this guy, and whenever I see him, I'm just like, I gotta find a way to play him. I know this is gonna sound a little weird, but I love Ant-Man's model. And I don't know.
I only like it because it's gimmicky. I don't like it because it's good.
It's not a great model, but I just love I think they did a really good job, specifically the little Ant-Man. I think it looks like
he's true scale.
Yeah.
That's how big Ant-Man is when he shrinks.
I know.
It's not and that's why I love it.
Yes. I love it because and it also they make him look like he's doing the sprint, from the movies where he's sprinting up. I really, really love Ant-Man's model. And as much as this is really hard, the third choice I feel it could have been so many things, but I'm going to go with Ant-Man because it's always the one that I want to pull off and put in a list because I love the model so much.
I don't know if you care. I would like to retcon my first choice that I didn't understand the assignment.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I have 2 in mind, and I have 3 in mind, really, that I'd like to replace it with. But I'm trying not to let the balance of our list affect my decision.
Don't do that. This is why this is a fun exercise, is you have to think about, okay, if I just wanted to play models that I think look cool because the model looked cool.
I think I will take Juggernaut. And there's a few on here that I had a really close tie with, but I think Juggernaut, and it just sells me because of the custom base.
Mhm.
The fact that he's ripping up the ground as he's running is so cool, and it is Juggernaut, right? They perfectly captured Juggernaut on a base.
I also love. I think I've seen without the what has he got, the traffic sign.
Post. Yeah,
I love the traffic sign so much.
Yeah.
I think it's so awesome. He's literally ripping up the world. It's great.
I've told a lot of people. I think it's because it breaks up the color palette as well.
Uh-huh.
If it was just red, then it kind of gets lost in the weeds. But because there's a clash there, it emphasizes the red on the rest of the model. Because his red isn't really vibrant; it's very flat and muted.
All right.
So you got your amazing LVO winning list.
Yeah. Oh man, this is just the best. This is the infamous "We love these models" list.
We have done the best we can to build the most competitive list.
Yeah.
I think we fucking did it.
Okay. So first off, just to review, I got a list here. It's Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, Agent Venom, Ant-Man, Carnage, Spectacular Spider-Man, Deadpool, Hulkbuster, Juggernaut, Immortal Hulk. So, if we were going to pick a captain for this squad of champions.
So how many? We have what? 1 3-pointer?
I gave you 2.
We have
two.
We have 2: Spectacular Spider-Man, Deadpool, and Ant-Man. We have 3.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, this is an Aaron list if I ever heard of one.
Yeah. This is not like an absolute shit show.
Start
actually.
with 3 threes.
Well, so Ant-Man and Deadpool are Avengers.
So is Hulkbuster.
So is Hulkbuster. So there's 4 affiliated, and you technically have a leader already. I think putting Sam in there would be the easiest. Like, I've played Sam with Hulkbuster 4. I know we've talked about that. So strategy-wise,
you could do
got
original Steve, because he's just grease for everybody, except Ant-Man. He's not grease for Ant-Man, but he does grease everyone else.
But I don't know if there's anybody in there that really takes advantage of it.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
I mean, there's everyone gets extra power,
but like Doctor Strange would love to have exactly cost 3. Agent Venom would love to have exactly cost 1. We have a lot of placers in this list, actually.
That's fair. You still got to get affiliated though. So if you're putting in Steve, Strange, and Agent Venom.
Oh, this is bizarre. We have so many. We have so many.
One affiliated.
We have so many place effects in this list: Hulk, Juggernaut, Spider-Man, Deadpool, Ant-Man, Venom, and Strange. All of them have place effects. That is bizarre. Look what we did.
You should put in Dormammu, because if you just need 1 more power, he also fixes the affiliated problem.
Yeah, and then everybody's affiliated. Do you get to play Immortal Hulk with Dormammu? Is that a thing that gets to happen?
I don't know that you care about playing Immortal Hulk with
I've done it.
But yeah. I think it's more about playing like what were we just talking about? You can put in Strange 2 and Agent Venom, and that is 9 plus 8 is 17 points. So that's a list right there. You can port Dormammu forward, which is cute, and then have Agent Venom also jumping to mid lane. That's a lot of blasting going to the center. And then on games you don't do that, you can throw in Hulkbuster and play Avengers. Let's see, with Strange and Hulk, are they in any of the same factions? Because Hulk's in Midnight Suns and Defenders.
They're both in Defenders.
Yeah, Strange 2's in Defenders? Okay.
So they're the only 2 in Defenders, though.
But yeah, you wouldn't have a leader.
Is Emma terrible? It's terrible? Like, you just do Emma?
I don't think that list does well with it, because they're all like blitzy characters, which is what we were talking about, and Emma's more of a like long game. She's like a attrition piece, and because she doesn't turn any of them on the first turn.
She would. The large base characters can turn on if there is a back point. Yeah.
1 can only on a D or an E.
Can you put Miles in there?
It wouldn't be affiliated with anything. You don't have any other Web Warriors.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, there's
Agent Venom.
2 others.
Agent Venom and Spectacular.
Oh, I keep forgetting but you couldn't. Yeah, Spectral.
Yeah,
that would work
easily.
You could.
I mean, that would be a bad list, but I mean, it would be affiliated.
You could play Shield also. Agent Venom and Spectacular are both part of Shield.
Just throw Namor in. Just have all the fast big guys.
You could do Namor. You could do that. But Shield,
I think Dormammu ties it together perfectly, because
I don't think it.
It's exactly that kind of a shit show list.
I don't think he does. Maybe you guys are right.
You're a coward.
I don't think it.
Hear me out, Parker. You can resurrect Ant-Man.
You can resurrect Ant-Man.
You had me at resurrect Ant-Man.
Honestly, you resurrect Deadpool because that sounds like something that should happen in a comic book game. Deadpool doesn't die because he makes a pact with Dormammu. I mean, this list is not. I think it should be like. I think Cap.
I almost gave you Blade instead of
Blade is
Juggernaut.
Blade is
and
great.
Then you'd have a big deep dive into Midnight Suns.
Yeah. Well, you only have 2 Midnight Suns.
Well, you'd have Immortal Hulk and Strange and
Strange is not a Midnight Sun.
Oh, Strange 2 isn't. I always forget which one's not which one.
Yeah. So it looks like if you wanted to become affiliated with a leader, you got to pick a Web Warrior leader. It's probably
Avengers.
not. It's not Peter. Avengers actually has
Shield. I think Shield actually has a strong argument.
Or Shield, because you do have 3 Shield members.
It'd be It'd be Spider-Man, Namor, Agent Venom.
Mm-hmm.
That's not terrible. And then fill in some more stuff. I think Ant-Man'd be good in that list.
Yeah. One more reroll. You get close to guys. Get more rerolls. Doctor Strange.
I mean, if you could get affiliated with Steve, I think Steve works. I just don't think that list gets affiliated because, like, Hulkbuster is one of your models that are affiliated. So it's like that's not really an option.
It's Steve Ant-Man who doesn't get a benefit, but Steve Ant-Man Deadpool. But then like
right, so like Deadpool gets a place 2 is like the selling point of the roster at that point.
You're right.
And it's like, meh. It's like that only works because you're putting in models like Luke Cage and shit like that.
Mm-hmm. So I think our front runners are Miles, Dormammu,
Namor.
Namor is the best model in the game, apparently.
No,
everybody says so.
I don't think he's the best model in the game. I think he's one of the most meta models in the game.
Yeah,
I'm
being very facetious.
Yeah.
I'm being very
so
facetious.
hot right now.
I know what you're doing. I'm just clarifying for people at home.
Mr. Nimbus.
Yeah. I'm still annoyed I can't find a Mr. Nimbus STL to print, so we can just have Mr. Nimbus instead. I would play the shit out of Mr. Nimbus. I do not want to play Namor. I want to control the police.
Yeah.
And the best part, you get to play in S.H.I.E.L.D., and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are just the sexy police dancing.
He controls the police. You break our tie, Jeremy. Who do you think who should be the leader here for our...
I think Namor synergizes well with the models you have, because I think Ant-Man is a high-tempo piece, Namor's a high-tempo piece, Spectacular Spider-Man can be a high-tempo piece.
The defensive reroll, we got a lot of characters that have rerolls already and are kind of defensive minded.
So the best looking model of the 3 you named.
Ooh, there we go.
I think Steve.
Not Steve.
Oh yeah, we don't care about Steve. Steve is terrible.
Yeah. Steve's gone.
I guess a well-painted Dormammu probably looks better than Mr. Nimbus, but
yeah, I mean, I think Dormammu goes in this package of incredible models that are really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're leaning too hard on what makes a good list. I mean, because anything we put together is amazing. So whatever.
Yeah.
Best list.
Yeah,
done.
He does turn on everything just a little bit more. So yeah.
Yeah.
You can kill your own models. It's amazing.
Okay. So our final list: Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, Ancient Venom, Ant-Man, Carnage, Spectacular Spider-Man, Deadpool, Hulkbuster, Juggernaut, Immortal Hulk, and the Lord of the Dark Dimension himself, Dormammu.
Moo.
And you don't have to play Dormammu as the leader. Hulkbuster could be played. Like, you could do that.
You could play Avengers. That's true.
Yeah.
You could also play Defenders without a leader, which isn't the end of the world.
Yeah, you could do that.
Because you can't play Vapors though.
Oh, I just realized something. You could do Daredevil, and I love Daredevil's model. That would be one.
I don't think there's enough Defenders, I think that list would be okay.
Yeah.
Because again, you're like, look at my 2 Defender models. They cost 12 points. And you're like, then you put a 4-pointer in. There's like, so my starting package is 16 points.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's not good. It's a bad idea, but technically good.
So we're playing 18, and you're like, great. I'm playing 16.
Yeah. Can this list play 15? Yeah, it can. Yes, it can. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah, you have Dormammu. Of course you can play 15.
Yeah, just making sure. All right. Done and done. Ship it. Best looking list. That's the only adjective you can use. Is looking.
You'll have a lot of large models.
Yeah. Best looking list. It's a showcase list. You want to win best
looking list.
Yeah. You want to win best painted. This is your list, and because it'll look really cool on your tray, according to Infamous. You heard it here first.
According to Parker, I was never involved in this.
Yeah, this is definitely a Parker situation.
I apologize to everyone who had to listen to this segment.
Back out slowly.
I don't know what to say. I feel like this was fun.
You might even call this segment a bust.
Okay.
Right, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's this new model coming out tomorrow that is supposed to be a big deal.
You got
Apocalypse.
me. But we're canceling the apocalypse.
Yeah. Reset the clock. All right. Parker, let me know if I'm saying this right. Ensubanur?
Yeah. In Sabah is what I've always said.
Ensubanur.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now you got me second guessing myself. Yeah, in Sabah. Yeah.
Is it 3 separate words, or is it like T'Challa where you say it fast?
No,
in
right? Sabah. Okay. I'm sure Deadpool's made fun of him and call him just like title before. Any.
All right. Have you guys put any thought into this guy at all? I hate reading ahead to stuff that's not out yet. I'd much rather just wait for it to be out.
I haven't thought about him in any way. It'll be really easy to paint because what I'm going to do exactly is put blue on the blue parts and call it good.
You're gonna paint it?
Yeah, I can paint blue on blue parts. It would be so easy.
Blue.
Parker, that's yet to be seen.
This is even something Kenny could paint because all he'd have to do is pull out one blue color.
God.
And
Damn.
just
catching strays.
It would take. Well, I mean, hold on. Let me count. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 different blue things, so it would take him at least 8 days. But he could do it pretty quick.
No. Let me explain to you how Kenny would paint this model. He would get the model out, he'd put it on his paint table, right? Then he would drive to the game store, which is over an hour from his house. And he would ask me, Brandon, I need a blue paint. Do you have a blue paint? I would show him 14 different blue paints. And he'd go, well, I want this one. That's the one you don't have. So I'm going to have to wait for that to come in. And they'll just leave it for weeks or months until the fabled color that he wants comes in. And then he'll realize it's not actually the color he wants. And he'll look for a new color we're out of stock on. And then he'll wait for that to come in. And then he'll run out of excuses to not paint it.
Jeremy, are you planning on getting an Insubordiner?
Probably not.
Probably not.
You're not going to get it?
I mean, I don't want to play against it. I don't want to have to learn it. So probably not.
I love you're based on the general principle of learning. Learning is bad.
I mean, can it be like it looks like the most complicated pile of shit ever.
I guess the reason why I thought you
many different models in order to know what's going on, and those models can be in different places, and as an opponent can play this on me, and I have to actually learn what the fuck. Like, seriously?
Oh, let me step back then. I guess. Were you planning on playing not his affiliation, but just him? Because he's a big guy, and you like big guys.
Maybe. I really don't know. Like, okay. Yeah.
Well, if either you,
his rules are a mess.
If either of you guys want to teach me how to paint gray and blue, if you think it could take me like half an hour, I'm in. I'm anything over that, and I'm.
Why are you suddenly wanting to paint your models?
Because I'm looking at this guy's color scheme, and I'm thinking I can handle it.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Well, you know what? You could buy it tomorrow, and then you would have 4 days to paint it for the monthly painting competition. You gonna do that?
That would be something. The word "could" is a word that I could use to describe it.
That depends on what the meaning of the word "could" is.
Yeah. I don't know. I do think, for some reason, when I see a model like this and I see only 2 colors, I go, "Wow, I could actually do this in like maybe one sitting." Because that's what I want to be able to do with painting. I no longer want to sit down twice on something.
No longer.
I did it like with you like 5 or 6 times, I think, and
we painted the 2 models we painted together. We painted one session each. Then you tried to paint Nick Fury on your own to evolve.
Yeah.
And then you didn't.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I failed to paint Nick Fury in a single day. And then the next week you came back, you're like, well, now what do I do? like he's not done.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah, you got to finish it. He's like, you don't understand, it's not done.
That's what I'm
Make
talking
done
about.
hard now. What?
That's pretty much what it was.
Shit. Oh. That's what I'm saying. I think Apocalypse is that lowbrow shit I'm into. Just just blue.
Just get out a Q-tip, dip it in some blue pigment, and just rub the blue pigment on the blue areas.
Yeah.
Don't even try and stay in the lines. Just get it on there.
Can I recommend just buying blue spray paint then, and then working off of that?
No, because then he'd have to unblue the gray parts, and that's even more work.
That's true. He'd have to back up. Only go forward.
Do you guys remember when Star Wars Legion first came out?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a whole bunch of people that was coming from X-Wing into Star Wars Legion. And they weren't painters, right? Because X-Wing's pre-painted.
I was there.
There's no reason
I was
for
there
them
not
to
being
ever...
I was there not being
Exactly. And so they it was a big deal. But then also, all these old school GW gamers were getting into Star Wars Legion because they're all old Star Wars fans. It turns out the average age of an old GW player is somewhere around 50. And so they're getting in, and these two communities were colliding for the first time because the GW people that were paint snobs had no interest in playing X-Wing, and then the people who played X-Wing had no interest in being paint snobs. So these two communities slammed together like fucking Devilish and Derby, and they did not like it. And so there was basically just this like separation of the two communities. They would show up to the game store and they would just sit at different tables and not talk to each other. It was wild. Even then, they're all like, "Hey, do you know if anybody's coming up for Star Wars Legion?" I was like, "Well, that guy over there's here for Legion." Is like, "Oh, yeah, I know him." And then they'd go sit down and just keep being quiet. It's like, wow. That's and amazing. So, but I get it, like, because the paint snobs wanted to have a cool cinematic game where they got to basically watch Return of the Jedi play out on the table. Mm-hmm. And then the X-Wing players wanted to play a game. Yeah. So it's just really weird they didn't get along. But and so I get it, because we as soon as Star Wars Legion comes out, one of the first posts in this Kansas City Star Wars Legion community was like, "Guys, I painted my Darth Vader." And so I click the button, and I look at the picture, I'm like, oh boy. And I don't know what I would call what he did, but I would not ever call it painting. And it's not like a "you're bad at painting" comment. He didn't paint it. Because he had taken a gold Sharpie and just colored it with the gold Sharpie. I'm like, that's not painting. Like, I understand you made an attempt, but that is not what anyone would call painting. And it looked surprisingly okay for what he did. Like, there was a little bit of shadowing, but he really didn't take the time to, like, get the lining right or anything. It just looked like a Darth Vader model that had been dipped in gold. And so it was just wild. Yeah. And of course, all of the comments are the old paint stop guys, like, "Get out of the channel, you're wasting our time." It's like,
oh my god.
They were offended.
It was wild. And it's surprising that game didn't really take off.
Oh my god.
But it had nothing to do with the game. It was just the communities hated each other, and I don't get it. The majority of Star Wars Legion games I saw in Kansas City were two X-Wing people that showed up, wanted to play a game more than work on the models, and so they didn't even build their guys. The first time they played, they just got the bases out of the box and moved the bases around the table. And they were like, "This is my unit of whatever," and they played the game. They had fun. And then they just kept doing that. And so they would weekly meet up, pull their bases out of the box, play a game, and leave. And then, like, every week there'd be, like, one more model glued to a base. And it was wild.
That's awesome.
And then on the other side, you've got all the 40K gamers have painted up these cool units and everything, but have not played the game once.
Right. Well, I want to see how Apocalypse works. I think it'll be fun to play him. I love 6-point leaders. It's one of my favorite things to do. I think there's only one thing about him, actually, that maybe means that I won't paint him, which is he's so popular, and I think he's so sought after by the community, and they're so excited about him. I think everybody's going to be playing Apocalypse for a while. I think he's going to be hyper popular at the very beginning. I could see that. I think people are going to do kind of what people are going to hit the disaffected nature that Jeremy has right now pretty soon, because I don't think they're going to be. I don't think his list is hyper powerful. Maybe I'm wrong, and because I haven't looked at it very hard. And maybe somebody's like, "You didn't notice that Wolverine being war is X or Y or Z." I get it, maybe. But so if anybody's out there saying I'm wrong, great. Tell me. Prove me.
Yeah, I'm not excited to play him in his faction with the Horsemen yet. Like, that will be a fun experience when I kind of dive into that and start looking at it. But like Jeremy said, there's just a lot to look at, and like I need to pull my cards out and absorb it and I just haven't done that yet. I hate like looking it up on the app to look at stuff. Like I'm so busy anyway that I kind of want to wait for it to come out. I'll have it in my hands. It'll be like Christmas. I'll open it all up. I'll look at all the stuff, and it'll be exciting. I don't want to spoil that by slowly taking it in over my phone over like weeks. And so
there is one thing about the list that kind of makes me a little bit upset, and it's just a little bit upset. Is he's a 6-pointer, so the chances of playing all 4 horsemen with him in a game are just not like they're just. I think it'll be actually rare, right?
That was my initial impression until I saw the list and saw there was 2 2-pointers on it, and I think obviously you will choose to take a 4 over 2/2 sometimes, but they really tried to give you the option because a lot of the models on the list are not, to my knowledge, notable horsemen from the lore.
Yeah.
They did it so that you could play the game.
Yeah, get all 4 at the table at the same time.
Yeah, because if you just do the math, like at 17 points, that means you have 11 points left. What is that? It's 4-4-3, or you do 3-3-3-2. It's like it's very doable.
Yeah,
but like at 15, it's much less doable.
Right.
In fact, impossible. I think.
Well, I guess then there you go. Because I haven't looked at it really hard, I didn't know there were 2 2s.
Yeah, it's Honey Badger and Toad.
I was going to say
they're mutants.
Horsemen. Yeah, they're mutants. Yeah,
notable horsemen.
But they're not fucking horsemen though.
Yeah, that's.
Remember when Toad was the master of war? You're like, what the fuck is the matter with you? He like slapped fucking Xavier in the face like he's broken again. Fix him. Like,
oh, by the way, we left off Xavier off of our awesome model list. He should definitely belong.
Oh
on
my
the
god!
awesome model
yeah,
list.
because I really want somebody who's close. Oh, that reminds me, Parker. I have to send you a picture. I was behind your wife in traffic.
What?
I was the other day, actually driving back from getting the printers. I was behind your wife in traffic. I have to send you a picture. I took a picture.
What?
I'm not stalking her. It was a normal interaction.
Is this what is going on in this podcast right now? Are you about to hand me some terrible joke about my wife that I love very much?
Sending you a picture right now.
Oh my god!
I was parked behind your wife at a stoplight. I knew you wouldn't believe me, just like you didn't. So I sent you a picture.
Aww. Okay, that is cute. Thank you. That's just cute. For those of you, somebody who's behind somebody who said
somebody. It was your wife.
Yeah. What is it? I'd rather be quilting, and quilting, it's my thing. Those little decals on there. Yeah, that is her.
They have bumper stickers. Yeah, it's her.
She is
Confirmed.
not. She's not a bumper sticker person at all. But she'd be down for those. I think she has that T-shirt, and she has that pillow, and she has she has that.
Did she crochet it?
She embroidered the pillow.
Nice.
And the T-shirt she didn't make. It was a print. It was a printed T-shirt. She doesn't have a printer, but. She's not cool like Jeremy.
You don't allow her to have a printer.
Yeah, Jeremy. Yeah. Jeremy prints stuff. Well, it's never been something she wanted to do. She's all about the sewing and the embroidery and the quilting. But
I still think it's ironic as fuck that I own like 8 3D printers and 0 fucking actual printers.
Yeah.
I have to go pay to print off my shipping labels. It's fucking
Could I put this plastic on the paper? Like you could do it. A very thin layer of plastic.
Yeah. I know we're way off topic at this point, but I did find today there's a adapter that replaces the print head on my printer to a pen holder. So you can just upload an STL and it will write stuff on the page for you. But it writes incredibly fast, and so it's actually useful. You're like, I need to have a handwritten note that's 8 pages. You're like, that's like 30 seconds. And you're like, oh, God. It's kind of funny.
That's pretty cool.
Anyway, I am very excited to get Apocalypse. I'm excited to build some lists with him. Most importantly, that one comment Aaron made about he's good with Strucker because he can, out of activation, apply negative effects. I'm very excited to try that.
The fact that he can do the one thing that you couldn't do with a lot of the all the lists that have the theme of I'm going to put a lot of things on you. Mm-hmm. As soon as you put them all out, then that's it. Like nothing else happens. Mm-hmm. You're like, yay, they're all out, and now what? But he actually, does something with that and continues to put different effects, even if you put the ones you already had out, which I think is super cool.
Most importantly, he gets to heal on every turn of the game.
Yeah,
luckily.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't. The first 3 times I play Jeremy, I'm just gonna make up rules. It's like, he's got he can't be damaged by energy attacks on the 3rd turn of the game. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, it's crazy, and just blow past it. It's like, okay,
whatever.
just make shit up.
I think it's cool that he heals, but that's I mean, he does heal, which is kind of like DR, but it's not DR, right? So you can just do 4 damage to him if he has 3 damage on him, and he just falls down. Like that's really
sure.
cool.
No, yeah, that's one of the issues with it.
Yeah.
But it only matters on the final attack, right? It only
Right.
matters on the one that dazes him.
But he's not the Thanos, right? Where Thanos said,
Sure.
a reality stone, so I'm blocking 2, right? Like easily blocking 2. Nope, Thanos can block none and then just fall down.
Yeah.
Did I say Thanos? I mean Apocalypse. Apocalypse.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I would build an Apocalypse list, but now I've got to play our awesome, infamous model list. That's...
you can't play anything else till you win a game with it.
That is not what I agreed to.
That is the rule.
That is not what I agreed to.
We've always
Parker
done
the
that.
coward. That's always been the rule, Parker. You just finally have to follow it.
Well, I'll have to borrow your Dormammu.
We're not changing it until that's the rule.
I was gonna say,
or Parker, did you have a comic corner for us today?
I do. I have a comic corner. So the comic corner today is actually a brand new one, hot off the press. Man, it was awesome to read. Super fun, short contained story called Avengers Twilight. It was written by Chip Zdarsky, and if you're like, I do not know who that is, he has written a lot of modern stuff. He's a younger writer. He had his hands mostly in all the newer Daredevil stuff. So if you've read anything with the new Daredevil titles, he's responsible for all of those. He also is responsible for a lot of the Devil's Reign, which is one major Marvel event that takes place in New York City. So he also penned that. So a lot of his thing that he excels at is asking questions about how society would actually interact with a Marvel universe, right? These characters with fantastic powers and science fiction concepts and magic concepts, and then kind of taking that to its natural conclusion. And so he often adds a lot of political concepts into his writing. Daredevil is full of these right now. Devil's Reign was all about that. And then Avengers Twilight, this one I'm suggesting that you should definitely pick up. It is a short miniseries. I think it's only like 6 issues. It takes place in the near future, where kind of like the events of Civil War, only this time we don't get the the results that we got from Civil War. In the near future, a really terrible calamity happens in which the heroes are not prepared, and a whole lot of collateral damage happens, way too much for the American people to just basically take, and so they decide to outlaw capes. And so there's no longer going to be vigilantism of any kind. And because this is the near future, the folks that really want to stand up and do something about it, like, Captain America, well, he's getting older. And as it turns out, the super soldier serum doesn't keep you alive forever. And so his body's beginning to metabolize it, and he's just kind of lost his, some of his abilities. And so he decides he's going to take a back seat and let the next generation pick it up. And they don't, because this falling out happens, and nobody decides to actually stand up and do something about it. They're not going to be superheroes anymore. So as superheroes fall away, a new kind of regime comes in, and America becomes more and more of a police state, more and more isolated from the rest of the world, paranoid about itself and others. And of course, Cap is just kind of slowly taking this degradation of what he thinks is the American dream, until something prompts him to action and stirs him back to join the scene. And so a very elderly Captain America picks up the shield one more time, assembles the Avengers and all the things that have happened to them since the transition from this terrible event, and decides he's going to do something about the world and the way that it is now. So really cool miniseries that just kind of does a big what if about what happens to the future of some of our favorite Marvel characters. Also asks really interesting questions. Again, he does a really good job of weaving in how people and politics and how humanity would actually respond to heroism and heroes like this. And then, of course, it's drawn amazingly by Daniel Lacuna. He's also a young artist for Marvel, but man, I love his stuff. It's super gritty, very dark, very bold color. It's really fun to read. It's the perfect, tone of his color, and his pen really matches the tone of the comic. So if you're a fan of, there have been lots of runs like this where writers imagine what the near future would be. But if you want to see this kind of dark mirror version of the Marvel universe, where some of society's biggest problems are allowed to get worse because the heroes aren't there to stop it, but they do show up to try to stop it, read Avengers Twilight. You'll like it.
Cool. So, I decided to finally call the tinnitus hotline because I was getting fed up with it, but it just kept ringing.
Jeremy's getting too old for this shit.
Yeah. Jeremy is fighting so hard to not laugh. I can see it on his face. He's about to break.
Nope, not this time. Sorry.
Not this one.
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy. Don't forget your Hobo Knife.
And you just listened to Hobo Knife. I was actually going to name this, You've Just Listened to John Drive to Wichita.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Or Flying Monkeys, because that's where John's going. But I think Hobo Knife is where we'll leave it.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
So long.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
And hopefully we are back.
So back.
There's no way to know.
Good. Nice.
How could you know? How am I not myself? How am I not myself? How am I not myself?
It reminds me of I assume you guys have heard the water isn't wet argument.
Yeah.
Right. So
as a science teacher, I'm called upon to answer it all the time.
Exactly.
By my students. Yeah.
But there's a funny joke one where the girl texts the guy and she's like, "I'm wet," and he's like, "Well, obviously you're 70% water." Like, and it's just like ships in the night. Like,
that's awesome.
It's great. So anyway, like I was saying earlier, I've had a very weird few days.
Oh, yeah? Did you meet a boy?
So I did not.
Oh.
Is he cute?
He's very cute. So anyway.
Gotcha.
Damn it. Her name is Lance.
I mean Nance. I said Nance.
Yeah, Nancy. I said Nancy. So Sunday, I was spending most of the morning like researching filament printers. Like, man, I should really get another filament printer. I've got so much shit to print. I'm really backed up. And when that happened with resin printing, I just bought more resin printers and everything went great. So I was like, I should probably buy a new plastic printer. So I spent like basically the entire weekend through Sunday morning researching what the best option is. And then finally I was like, you know what? Because originally I was like, well, what if I just spend a shitload of money and like go get something that's like industrial? And so I looked into all that, but it's, despite having a prohibitive cost, it is also, there's prohibitive infrastructure stuff involved as well. So I'm not going to do that. But I knew I wanted a better printer than what I already had. So I found one that I really liked and did a bunch of research on it to make sure it didn't have like random issues, and it didn't seem to. So I decided to pull the trigger on Sunday before the Chiefs game. It was like, I'd say 3 o'clock. I was like, well, I got time to go there, buy it, bring it home, build it, set it up, and start printing before the Chiefs game if I really hurry. So I go to the store, and Micro Center, thank God we have a fucking Micro Center in town. Did you know that not every city has a Micro Center?
Yeah, they're
They're rare.
Yeah, they're
right?
pretty
like,
rare,
It's
yeah.
not normal.
kind of like
was-
IKEA. They're not a
Yeah.
common thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Alamo Draft House. It's like it's just the best form of what it is, and it's
Yeah.
like not everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, like when I found that out, it terrified me. Anyway, I go in and they have it. It's like $200 off the MSRP in store. And so I grab one. We look through the 4 they have in stock. There's 2 with a newer date code and 2 with an older date code, which really matters because the factory will upgrade the components, and you just have to buy one of the newer ones to get the upgraded components. So I grabbed one. We start taking it up to the front. I'm talking to the sales clerk, and he scans it, and it doesn't show the price, the $200 off. And I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Like, is the sale over? He's like, well, the tag's still up. So, I mean, we advertised the price, so we have to give it to you. And I'm like, yeah, that. and he's like, well, I'll have to go up there with you to show them the tag so that they'll give you the new price. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, you've got 4 of these in stock, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, if I get 2, do I get the same discounted price on both? He's like, yeah, that makes sense. And so I bought 2 of them.
Nice.
And I even made the joke about FOMO on the way to the register. It was great.
I don't know about you guys, but I've never been in Micro Center, because I have been there many times, in which I wasn't like one of 200 people. I feel like that place is always incredibly busy. Not a little busy, but like.
Have you tried going at
busy.
1:30 p.m. during the week?
Okay, is that the time I need to go?
It's
I usually
slower.
Okay.
It's not dead. It's
No.
never dead.
I'm not actually.
Oh.
That sounded like a criticism. It's not. Like, there's plenty of people working. The lines are moving. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a terrible place to go.
I didn't think
but
it was.
that place is very busy.
There's always people there.
Yeah. It's for a kind of a smaller store with a very kind of small like
Mhm.
purview of things. It is busier than like any grocery store. or
yeah,
like
it's not a
Walmart or
big box store.
Target.
It's a niche
Yeah.
retailer.
Yeah.
I went there on Black Friday last year to buy the first printer I ever bought. I have never seen it that busy. I've been there on previous Black Fridays and Christmas Eve. That place was packed. So you know the layout. It's I think it's a 50,000 square foot floor area.
Yeah.
It's a big store. And so the line to check out, there's registers,
Mhm.
and like it snakes back on itself twice,
Right.
and then it wrapped all the way around the store to the computer department,
Wow.
over to the laptop department, and then back up to the front on the other side. The line literally enveloped the store.
What's funny to me about the place is the footprint you're talking about. If listeners, if you've never been to Micro Center, it's about the footprint of like an Office Depot, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
about that same size. But what's funny is every Office Depot I've ever been had me in it,
Yeah,
and that was it. Like, it's always
it's like
desert.
a mattress store. Like,
Yeah.
they're scam.
Yeah,
It's
like
nobody's there.
when you walk in, you're like, oh my gosh, something must be wrong here. Like, the prices must be too high or something, because
Yeah,
no one
it's
is here
dying.
but me. But Micro Center is exactly the opposite. Like, you walk in there and you're like, oh, I'm in the place to be. This is somehow the only place I should shop, because look how many people agree with me.
Yeah.
I know we're not on a super time crunch, but I have an idea that was inspired by Jeremy just now for
boy.
a topic today for MCP, and
Okay.
I'm really interested in it. Actually, I really want it to happen. I don't
What's
think
your
we've
topic?
ever talked about this before, ever. I would like to make a roster today, a roster build, but we're
I
going to
think
work.
we've done that before.
But we're going to work on it collaboratively, and this is the rule for the roster build. The roster build is just this. Each of us pick our 3 favorite models in the game, having nothing to do with rules and everything to do with just the model. So
every model in a vacuum.
Yes. So just like pretend like they don't have cards. Just pick 3 models that you love as models. If you know something about their characters and you love how they're represented in a model, that's great too. Like, anything about their model that you
Doesn't
love.
matter why we like them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter why you like them. And you pick 3 models, I'll pick 3 models, and Jeremy will pick 3 models. The 10th model might be like a wild card to see if we could actually make something happen. Like, maybe we come up with an affiliation, so we put.
Yeah, we'll just have to pick a leader based on what is affiliated.
Yeah, right. So the idea is we make a infamous model list that's just the models we like, having nothing to do with rules.
Mhm.
So they could all be 6 pointers, right? Who knows? But the point is, we're where picking models have nothing to do with rules and everything to do with what the model looks like, and we like that model for X reason.
Well, Parker's going to like my list of models.
Do you like this, Jeremy? I think this could be fun. I think this could
Okay.
be
That's fine. Yeah, we can do this. We'll probably we probably won't go too hard on it because we've done a lot of list builds lately.
right.
but
I was
yeah,
mostly
because I imagine the tactics cards and stuff will fill out later.
yes. I wasn't like too
Okay,
worried
just,
about that.
Just getting the characters. Okay.
Yeah, the characters was the part that was going to be fun because I do think it'd be fun to have a discussion. I have a feeling we'll. I don't know if we want to. Oh man, do we want to be able to argue about it, or do we want to just say you get 3 no matter what?
I think you get your 3 no matter what.
Okay,
I don't
deal.
know. I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose of the point. Like,
Okay, I like
or
it.
else you'll use the information you've gained from the other two people's selections to influence
Okay.
yours. Like,
Oh, we probably
I
should
mean,
do
we'll
it,
just all write our models down first.
and we should probably we'll probably do like a draft format in case we have like this.
Probably just have
duplicates,
some
right?
alternates.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I'm gonna finish my story.
Go ahead.
So went and bought the 2 printers.
Okay. Tell me. Yeah.
Sunday afternoon. Brought them home, and it frantically started putting them together because now I spent an extra hour at the store. So it's like 5 o'clock when I got home,
Mhm.
and now I have to build 2 printers and get them working before the Chiefs game starts. And so I'm frantically slamming them together. Anyway, get them set up. I don't quite get them printing before the Chiefs game starts, but they are calibrating, so they're running through their own diagnostic stuff. Anyway, though, so Chiefs game happens. It's exciting. It was a very close game. Then, as soon as the game is over, I run back out and I start playing with my new toys and getting them set up and ready to go. And I start printing some test prints. And so I stay up until, I think it was like 5:30, trying to get it like printable, right? Because the whole idea was, well, then I'll just go to work and they'll be printing while I'm at work and it'll be really efficient time usage.
Mhm.
Not quite. So they're still being calibrated when I go
Not
to bed
quite. I like that.
at 5:30. And then, so the next day they don't really print anything while I'm gone. Then I run into some small issues, like I found some quirks about the printers that people don't really talk about very much that you have to just learn how to deal with. So I go to work, do my 13 hours at work. Then I stay an hour late Monday to help Tyler build his D&D character, and we talk about the game a lot. So I head home around 1:30, and then I'm up till 5:30 again. I'm trying to get the printer going. And then I go back to work the next day. And then finally midnight comes. I get off work. I've worked close to 30 hours in 2 days. I've got about 7 hours of sleep. And then I go to the gym because that's what I do on Tuesdays when I get off work. Get home at like 2 a.m. And I'm like, all right, now we're going to get these printers going. And so I'm up till 6:30 this morning getting the printers ready to go. And so it's one of those weeks when you wake up at 1:30 in the afternoon with not nearly enough sleep and you get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been today. But they're printing right now, and so far they seem like they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, was that one of the things you were talking about in the thing you posted
Yeah,
in the
that's
channel?
that's what the
One of the
video
things
I
you posted.
posted in the Infamous Studios channels. That's what I was doing. I'm watching them print in my program right now, and they seem to be doing great. So I've got my 2 new printers are running. They're printing stuff for the Infamous storage boxes. Then my old filament printer is printing new parts for the new printers to upgrade those. And then I've got my resin printers printing Judgment Monster orders for locals. And so all my printers are running right now, basically. All it took was, 30 hours of work.
Yeah, so all it took was all that.
Yeah. I love the days when you're like, man, I got so much done because you're just tearing ass through projects you've been wanting to work on.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't take any time. It just means that you're getting a lot done. So
I was thinking, when was the last time I got to do that? I don't remember the last time I just got to do a whole bunch of projects. I feel like I'm always doing 5 different things half-assed. I don't get to whole-ass anything.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's anyone who's been involved in like physical production of anything knows that when you're really at it, when you're really trying to get through stuff, there's a lot of peripheral stuff that doesn't get done because you're leeching all of your time away from the other things. And so like my garage right now is a fucking wreck. There's just boxes opened everywhere and like stuff on tables and like everything's everywhere. It's really cluttered right now, and I need to go through and put everything back because like it's like, oh man, I need to take this apart, run and grab my Allen wrench keys and like open those up, set them back down, and like, oh man, I need my needle nose pliers, run and grab those, and like, and just back and forth. Tools are everywhere. It's like I've taken apart a car engine in my garage right now.
Mm.
But yeah, I think we've hit the coast at this point. We're just rolling downhill.
Nice. I'm excited for you. Are you
Man,
going to use
sure
it? Are those the new ones for like brand new projects, or are you going to do some of the older stuff you've done? Just 2.0 kind
we'll
of style.
see. I have some exciting new projects that are going to be on the horizon once everything settles down. You guys remember the Show Me Showdown trophies from the first MCP event where they were like the light boxes?
Yeah, I think I remember.
I'm gonna start producing those.
I remember those precisely because that was the first time Aaron stole a third place trophy from me when I got fourth place, and it wouldn't be the last time. I think he's done it 3 times so far.
Are you like lesser Kenny? Do you just like it because Kenny gets third instead of second,
Yeah.
so you get fourth instead of third?
Yeah, I get fourth instead of third. He's done that to me at a regular tournament. He's done that to me, I think, 3 times at cons. Like there was a trophy on the line, third place got a trophy, and I haven't, and he just keeps getting them. And the funny thing is when I point it out to him, he just kind of looks at me like I'm an old dog, like on the street, like a stray, just kind of like, huh, that's interesting. Like zero sympathy, zero interest,
No
zero
care.
Yeah, zero care. He doesn't empathize at all with the experience because he's never lost, I guess. So that's the reason why he doesn't seem to understand. But
well, the hardest place to get at a tournament is third place. I don't know if you knew that. It's actually a true statement. Because first place is easy, you just got to win all your games.
Yeah, second place is win all but one.
Second place is easy as well. You have to win all your games but one and lose to the winner, and most often you get second place. Mm-hmm. Third place is actually extremely hard to get, which is why Kenny is a god amongst men. Because Kenny can fucking roll into third place by accident whenever he feels like.
Not me. That doesn't work for me. Although, I thought of I had an interesting statistic the other day, little self statistic. At the Judgment tournament the other day, I had the bye round 1, and the reason why that was particularly special is, I've been going to geekery tournaments now for X-Wing, War Machine. It was randomly chosen, actually. I was also late, but it was randomly chosen.
No, I was just joking. It was convenient because you were also late.
Yeah, but I realized at that moment that I have never, ever in the I guess, almost 10 years I've been going to the geekery, I've never, ever had a first round bye that I can ever remember for any of the games I've ever done. And I thought about it for a second. I was like, that's really interesting. Of all these tournaments I've ever done, I've had other byes, lost the first round or whatever and get a bye.
I can give you a strong piece of evidence as to why that could be the case.
Oh, really? What?
Because when you come to a tournament I sit out if there's a bye.
No, that's true.
So when you show up, it's that I'm not playing, not you're not playing.
That is true. That is probably to do with really good TOs who are very selfless. I thank you. That is true. So the actual number of times I could have a bye is lower because good TOs don't play. You are correct. However, there's something else I thought about. I don't think I've ever gotten a random door prize. I don't think. And I was trying to think of one I'd ever gotten, and now it's. And
I know that you've gotten a door prize that I've given out. They're just usually store credits. So there's not a physical object.
Okay. Even that I couldn't remember a time, and I couldn't remember one. It doesn't mean I never do, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's all just random. But and then I immediately realized who I was talking to here, which is Jeremy, because he's gotten exactly one door prize. What is it, like 4 times exactly? A Sentinel Mark II.
3.
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
Do you want to tell the people at home what your door prize has been?
I have on my shelf now 7 Sentinels boxes.
Just to be clear, these are Mark IVs.
Yeah.
Mark IVs.
We wanted to make
No
sure
primes.
you had enough Mark IV.
No primes.
Yeah.
And every
You don't need
day
prime.
I
It's
wash
overpriced.
a bunch of the material in the boxes. It's about 1/4 of it. I make sure I have plenty, and I throw it in the trash. And I just get an incredible amount of joy, and it was, a door prize, so whatever.
We had a bunch of leftover Sentinels boxes from the original pre-order, and so we started giving them out as door prizes at tournaments, and completely unironically, Jeremy kept winning them. Like
Yeah.
it was totally random the first 3 times. And so if we put a box on the table and said raffle this off, Jeremy would win it. 100% guaranteed. It was hilarious. And then one time I just gave it to you as a joke and just let you pick somebody to have it.
It was the first time it happened. It was adorable because that was right after you had tried them and vowed to never touch them again. And everyone was like, that's funny. And the second time, everyone was like, that's really interesting. The third time, we're all like, wow, what did he do? Did he step? Did he step in a ghost circle or something?
He hates dogs. That's what it is.
A ghost circle.
This is what happens to people that don't like dogs.
Did a witch curse him in the woods somewhere?
I actually like dogs. I just don't ever want to.
You don't like dogs. You don't like dogs being near you, touching you, loving you, anything about them. Like, I hate that part. If I knew there was a dog existing in Siberia freezing to death, I would be happy about that.
He can't not put words in your mouth. He can't do it.
I know. He just has to.
I have to. I want people to know.
Facts.
To be fair, Brandon, I love dogs, and I run from your dog. I don't even.
I'm not saying he doesn't like my dog. I'm saying he doesn't like dogs.
That's true. You didn't say.
I don't like the concept of an incredible needy thing. Just in general, like whether it be a spouse or a dog or I don't know, a goldfish. Like it all requires me to do a thing, or it will die. I'm like, that's a bad spot to be in.
We should create a internet skit that is just Jeremy taking care of his goldfish and resenting it. Yeah. And so he's like just sitting. He's sitting on this couch painting, and then he just kind of like stops and leans back, and then looks to his left, and there's just a goldfish swimming in a circle. He's like, fucking needy piece of shit, and he just goes back to painting. Like that's the entire interaction.
I won one carnival prize, and this is my penance for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. You guys been up to anything fun?
I already told you about my employee who got swindled, so I don't need to discuss that again. But
I think I enjoyed the other employee story more, but it wasn't your employee.
What?
Oh no, that was my mother-in-law. Ex-mother-in-law.
That was her? Okay.
My ex-mother-in-law that got swindled from a fucking kiosk at the
mall.
No,
not that one. The other story from your girlfriend. Of the couple.
Oh.
And they made a late night purchase from Walmart.
Oh okay, yeah, the Hobo Knife.
Please elaborate. I'm just sitting here.
Okay.
So let Jeremy. Yeah, sorry, I didn't think he was going to do it. Go ahead.
He's got it.
Okay, so my girlfriend works at a retirement community like I do. So just so you know, these like all the employees and everybody, it's a fishbowl. Like she has all the versions that I have. Anyway, one of them, they managed to not pay their rent on time, do awful things, and get evicted from the apartment for all the things you get an evicted for apartment from.
They earned it. Yeah,
they absolutely earned it.
Evicted. Yeah,
and they knew about this, and here it comes. So they're getting ready to be evicted. They have nowhere to live. So at some point during the night, one of them comes home with a knife. And the explanation was, if we get evicted and we have to live on the street, I have a knife now. So it's a defense hobo knife.
Yeah. Well, I mean, used for offensive or defensive purposes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you can't be homeless and not have a knife. Now they're prepared.
So all the rest of it, about 7 or 8 back and forth texts with Heather, was something she'd tell me, and then I would respond with, "They'll be fine. They have that knife."
Yeah, don't forget the knife.
It was awesome.
It was presented with the concept of like, I know you were worried we were going to be homeless, and we are, but it's okay because I bought a knife at Walmart.
I have a hobo knife.
That was the way the whole situation was smoothed over.
So the follow-up to that story is almost better. So, they end up... So she quits her job. Okay, the one that's working with Heather has to quit. They're suddenly going to move to Nevada, Missouri.
Oh.
Yeah, randomly. Turns out
I hear
that her spouse decided to get on Marketplace and speak with someone who had a room for rent for a low $500 a month, with the caveat that you have to help clean my house and move some shit around. Suddenly, they move. They get in the car, they pack all their shit, and they move.
That's enough for me to uproot everything.
Yep. And the story was, they get there. There's another homeless person that lives with this lady. And between the homeless person and the lady with the house, they decided that they weren't allowed to live there because they were lazy and weren't moving enough stuff. So they got kicked out of that house and they had to return. Luckily, I guess the termination wasn't through yet and she got her job back. All of that happened in a matter of a few hours, sure. But they got to stay in overnight. And it turned out that they moved in with a white witch, is what they call what she said they were. She was a white witch and had crystals and stuff.
Wait, whoa. Huh?
The lady that they tried to go rent a room from.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Was a witch. Yeah.
I don't understand. I've never in my life been in a position where, all right, instead of live with my family, my dad, my mom, whatever, I'm going to get and answer this marketplace ad for some stranger like 250 miles away or whatever that is. Like,
right.
I forget how, like, I always underestimate the percentage of the population that just, like, has that natural feeling in your gut to go, like, this is dangerous. Like it seemed to actually work out for them, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Like, answering, like, a Facebook marketplace ad that I'm going to go live with this person who I've never met in exchange for favors. And you're like, how? You are the reason that these, like, serial killer documentaries exist. Like, this is, like, exactly the problem.
Well, see,
is that you thought this was a good idea.
You see, I wonder if it's actually exactly the opposite. If it's the people who do that kind of stuff are the people who the serial killers never find because they're with the white witches, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, you know, when people would ask me, like, when I taught in inner city schools, they'd be like, aren't you worried about the violence? I go, no, actually, not at all. In fact, I'm so not worried about school violence where I am because violence just permeates everything and they don't bring it into the school. Like, it's not part of the classroom. And I know that sounds like back-ass words, but it's not there. Like, they'll kill each other right outside, but not in here. So no, I'm not worried about, like, a school shooting. Maybe that's what they're thinking, right? These people have, like, bed of nails their whole lives. If they live in Nevada with white witches, they'll never get kidnapped because who's going to find them there? Like, I guess. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe we're thinking about this the wrong way. Maybe we should all be in Nevada.
Their original solution to the homeless issue was way better, in my opinion. Yeah. They were talking of, like, one of the people from the apartment that was getting evicted was talking with friends at work or somebody, and they're like, "Yeah, so we might get evicted, we might be homeless," and so, like, says the comment, "You can come stay with me if you need to," as the friendly, like, token of, yeah, if you are literally homeless, come stay with me, don't stay on the street. But it's one of those, like, there's the implication that obviously it would be temporary, and it would be until you could get this emergency situation figured out. And they took it as, oh, cool, we have forever residence for free now. So it's okay that we're going to become homeless.
They were super excited.
It was just absurd to me. I was like, obviously that wasn't a forever situation. Like, it's so, like, they go to move in, and it's like, yeah, and it's like a basement with some cots, like somewhere you can sleep that isn't outside. And they're like, oh, cool, so, like, we'll start moving our furniture in next week. And it's like, oh, wait, I meant, like, you could stay here until you get your paycheck and can figure some stuff out. It's like, oh, no, this is a permanent situation. It's like, oh, my God. Anyway, yeah, it's just the some people, there's, like, the train barreling right at you, and you're just like, they just climb onto it and keep going. It's like, where are you going? I don't know.
I mean, I think sometimes I imagine, you know, my anxiety level being like, okay, this is too much. Like, I'm overwhelming myself with problems and things. When you hear that kind of thing, you're like, I have no problems. There is nothing in comparison.
Ever,
Like, no, like, train off the tracks on fire. Those people are living. And she's still like, yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm like, no, you won't. Like,
I do think there is a lot of value in the attitude. Yes, like the positive mindset of, we're going to figure this out. It's not going to end anything. we'll get through it. That is a crucially important response to some situations. It's also crucially important. The second part of that is that you actually figure it out and deal with it, and not just ignore the problem. But yeah,
the thing about it is you solve the problem, but are you sacrificing how much of your quality of life are you sacrificing? Right?
Yeah.
They didn't
Like
have any
eventually,
anyway.
well, that's the thing. Like if you look at life as like the end moves closer to this day, right? Like that's how you look. Like that's what you're doing, right? If you say like I'm just going to not deal with this, well, you're just moving the hour of your death just a couple inches closer to you, right? Like it's just
you're
moving.
certainly stepping
edging.
on some rickety footing.
Yeah, like you're fine right now, but you are sacrificing your quality of life. You're sacrificing the length of a stable environment for this.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a Always Sunny episode where it's just
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we're just gonna move down by the river and become crab people. It's like,
Right.
no, what? Like, you have no idea how to farm crabs.
for
Like,
real.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but people do it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like, Charlie's gonna come to work with me. It's like, how's he gonna do that? He can't read. He's like, he'll adapt. He'll adapt to reading. Like, it's called learning. It's not adapting.
And that is why I love that show, is because those people exist and it's real.
Yeah.
It's too
They
real.
exist, but like it's just extreme enough to be obvious it's satire, but it is also somewhat believable.
Yeah.
That's where like Trailer Park Boys is very similar to Always Sunny, but it's more of like a found footage kind of thing where like the camera is a person in the show,
Mhm.
kind of like The Office was. But it's not nearly as funny to me because I literally grew up with those people.
A little too
And
close
so
to
it's
home.
just like, no, it's just like, it's not funny because like, no, you're just an idiot. Like I'm tired of watching you be an idiot all day long,
Mhm.
and now it's frustrating. And so until like something really crazy happens, it's not funny. And so like the three main characters are unfortunately not crazy enough to be that funny on their own. It's the people around them that make the show funny for me.
Mhm.
And so like the security guard or the park manager guy, the old drunk dude, he's funny. And then like what's his name? I forget the main character's name. Dang it.
I haven't watched
well.
it enough. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I know. But the funniest season by far is when Tom Arnold and Snoop Dogg joined the show
Oh my
as
god.
themselves. And because like the show, because the camera's a person, right? They're actually filming this. It starts airing on the internet, and so Tom Arnold and Snoop Dogg watch the show and think it's fucking hysterical, so they come to visit the park and they stay there for the entire season. And it's just them being them, making fun of the stupid people, and it's hilarious because there's a straight man in the scene. They're not just being dumb repeatedly. And so that was way more entertaining to me.
I have never seen Trailer Parks, but I feel like I probably should at some point. It sounds
Trailer
like the
Park Boys.
It sounds like
It's fun.
the kind of
but
comedy that I appreciate.
there is so much content for it. It's like Always Sunny levels of content.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like 13 or 15 seasons, and there's like 6 movies. It starts off in like standard definition black and white, basically, because they're actually shooting it with like a camcorder, and then they upgrade the camera in season 2.
I like the closest that one I don't really care for that much, but
Mhm.
like I enjoy Letterkenny, and a lot of people don't, but that one kind of lands in the right spot for me. It's not as trashy, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely not the trashy part that I'm into, but I don't know, Letterkenny, and I've only seen clips, does not seem entertaining to me because it's just heavily scripted. Like it's not meant to feel real. It's meant to
It's very
feel
dialogue.
scripted.
It
Yeah,
almost,
it's
it's
dialogue
almost like
heavy.
a Tarantino dialogue. Like it's just a
Yeah.
back and forth, back and forth, back and forth the entire time.
Right. And it's like, I just don't enjoy that as much because, like,
Mhm.
it's just them obviously repeating lines that are heavily scripted. I prefer something that feels a little bit more realistic. Yeah. But yeah, some of the characters seem funny. But, Parker, the thing you might like, you know Rickety Cricket from Always Sunny. They have basically that in Trailer Park Boys, but it's his car. And so the car starts off as just a regular car, and over the course of the 15 seasons, they like jump it off a cliff, they set it on fire, it gets the rims stolen off of it, and like he converts it into a apartment where he like lives in the car for an entire season. Like several of the doors get ripped off, and they never fix it. It's the same car the whole time. And the car is so torn to pieces at the end of it. It's just like there's almost nothing left. It's like the Trains, Planes, and Automobile car. It's just stripped to the frame. There's nothing left, and they're just like driving it around.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't
What
realize
the fuck
they did
are
that
you
with the
doing?
car.
Yeah, the three main characters are Julian, Bubbles. I can't for life
Bubbles,
remember
that's
the
what
other
it
guy
is.
name. Bubbles is funny. I like Bubbles. Anyway, Jeremy, you got to paint?
No, I was looking at something.
No. You got your Zoomer 9000s to be able to see.
They're just reading glasses. Yeah.
You guys watch Chiefs game?
Did I or will I?
No, did you?
Of course. Of course, of course, of course.
I feel like at this point they're almost trying to make every game a final play. Like I feel like it's actually their intent that the game ends with the final play.
I feel like if it wasn't for the Bills game that got blown apart, they generally don't have those games anymore. And I mean, I want to say that all the teams are equally good, and that's why. But I don't think that's always true. It does seem like they lean to try and get a competitive game going. So if one team,
well, I said I meant the Chiefs. Like their goal is to like make it a final second play.
It seems like it, right? But
yeah.
I think that yeah, they don't do blowouts anymore. Like I remember the day when it was, if they don't score 30, we're gonna win.
Yeah,
that's been a long time.
Our team scored 51 points and lost. Like, what? Yep. Welcome to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think it is a really interesting. Like watching Chiefs football is, I've come to actually, I finally gotten to the point at which I'm used to it. Like when we're down by like 10, I'm like, yeah, we're fine. Like I'm perfectly satisfied. Like I'm not nervous at all. But before this era of Chiefs play, I would have been like edge of my seat. We got to get it. How are we going to do it? Like making sure I'm following like intensely. And I'm like, nah, we got this. We'll be fine. I'm just not. It's weird because I'm like,
it's all about
we'll win by 2.
Understanding, why we're behind by 10, right? It's like the famous Texans game. We were down 24-0 in the first quarter. It's like, well, why are we down 24-0? It's like, well, there was 2 broken defensive plays. There was 2 turnovers in the red zone. It's like, well, yeah, that's not going to happen every drive. And so it's like, all we got to do is stop playing like fucking morons. And it's going to be fine.
So, have you guys? This is non-Chiefs talk. Have you guys seen the Jane Daniels game? Did you watch it? Jane Daniels is the rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders, and he just set he's just set multiple records in the last game. I think it was the Bengals. I watched it. I watched highlights. I watched the highlights.
Oh, that was yesterday or Monday. Yeah, I did not watch it. I was busy.
And they also set a record. Well, rather, it's not a record. It's just not since 1940. There was a game in 1940, but there was the Commanders' offense had 0 turnovers and 0 3-and-outs. They just scored when they had the ball. And that hasn't happened since
3 and out doesn't mean you score, or opposite doesn't mean you score. It just means that you didn't punt before.
Right, 0 punts. Yeah, sorry, 0 punts, 0. But they also didn't turn over on downs. Like they didn't.
Yeah, 0 turnovers, 0 punts that's impressive.
That's what they did. 0 punts, 0 turnovers. And I mean they're kind of laying it at the feet of Daniels, but he is a rookie quarterback and he's making that kind of cool things happen. So I didn't know if you guys were excited.
I don't know anything about the Washington team this year. I haven't watched a single snap of them, but it could be a lot of stuff. Could just be that they had a really good run game because the Bengals are kind of really beat up right now on their linemen, and so if you can run the ball on them, they're really bad at stopping it right now.
I'll make sure it was the win over Cincinnati.
That little guy, he's a little quarterback. Like he's going to get exploded.
Eventually.
Yeah, he's not very big.
Mm-hmm. Was that the game where somebody did a somersault into the end zone, or was it the Chiefs game where somebody? I was watching it.
There's been a few of those this year.
Yeah, it was pretty adorable watching it. He was just like whoop. It wasn't even a long one. The guy just went really low for a tackle, and he literally went over, not on his feet, just onto his butt. It was really cute looking. It's pretty cool.
All right, so Mojoverse this week, we are doing prepackaged desserts.
Trash.
Just so we don't,
Trash.
Exactly. Just so we don't get people arguing and yelling at us, these are going to be things that you can buy at a convenience store, not a grocery store.
Yeah.
So like snack cakes, cookies, stuff like that. Things that are basically meant to last in storage, but are also desserts.
Yeah, mostly not food, but still taste good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, made of primarily not food materials that you're meant to eat as food. Do you guys mind if I go first on this one? Can I go first? I either want to go first or last.
If you're not first, you're last. So go ahead.
I don't care.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Twinkies. I don't know that they're the best, but they're definitely the most iconic. And I think the best will last a while. I don't think you guys know what the best is. It's definitely the most famous. What are you looking at?
I actually was trying to figure out. I was like, didn't Twinkies go out of production for a while? And I was thinking
they did. Hostess closed and got bought out by another company, and then now they're back in production.
That's what I was. That's what I was picking up. I was like, I don't remember. Like, I remember there being a time in my life when you couldn't get a Twinkie.
You could still get Twinkies,
right?
Because there was enough of them made that they still existed,
right?
Because they don't really go bad.
But you couldn't. You couldn't get a new Twinkie, or rather, you couldn't get one on the shelf, right?
Yeah, but they
were on the shelves. Yeah,
there's warehouses full of them.
Yeah,
which I don't understand how. I think the reason they went out of business, I'm sure people find this fascinating, but was they basically never reinvested in their factory equipment, and so all the big machines they used to make and package these things, they never reinvested in them. And so they basically just pocketed the profit over like the decades and decades they'd been in production. It got to the point where the entire factory was basically falling apart. And so they basically had to upgrade everything. And they didn't have the liquid capital at that time to do it, because by delaying it for so long, they kept increasing the price of the renovation to the point where it was bankrupting them. And so they just closed. And then somebody bought it out that had the capital to reinvest in it. At least that's what I understand happened. Next up is Parker. Is that what you guys are waiting on? I was like, why aren't you guys going?
No. I'm going to go next. I'm going to go with my favorite, which is the Big Honey Bun. The little Debbie Big Honey Bun. I love them.
I'm just putting Honey Bun.
That's fine.
I'm not putting Big.
Sure.
Fatto.
Okay. I actually don't like the jumbo one. It's somehow too much, but the big is perfect.
It's so fucking weird. Okay, do you do anything to your honey bun, or you just eat it?
I just eat it.
I will admit that my mom used to do this thing. This is probably her greatest achievement of all time. She would, this is going to sound stupid, she put butter on it. She would get the soft serve butter out and just cover the top in butter, as margarine, I guess. And then she would microwave it for 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And so the butter would melt onto it. That was fucking good.
It's
and
fucking
I don't
gourmet.
even like honey buns. Yeah, it was. And she would eat one of those a day. And we would go through a whole sleeve of honey buns a week just for her.
Wow.
But yeah.
I mean, that sounds just terrifying for
It is awful. But... Right. So when I think of a honey bun, it's like, oh my God, I don't know if I can eat one, because that's the way I picture them. Yeah. Not just the frosted cinnamon roll. Anyway. You should try it once, and then, or are you too afraid to?
I think
you pop, you can't stop.
It'd just be like Drano for my bowels.
You would also, just explode. You'd be a liquid implosion inside
There's
your
no
body.
way it doesn't cause cancer.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, you got back-to-backs here. What you got for us?
All right, the little chocolate donuts that are made of pure wax and garbage.
The Hostess mini chocolate donuts.
Yeah, you got to have a milk though. You can dip, or you can eat it with the milk. You can't eat them just plain because, I mean, fuck, they're not savages.
That's how you eat them.
You got to.
They are better with milk. You're right, but you don't get. It's not a final meal. It's the best one. You just get the one. You also get milk.
I can choose milk? I can't choose
milk. I'm just saying you don't get the milk. It's just the product.
But you're just he could say that's what he. That's
you were talking about spreading butter all over a fucking honey bun.
My favorite is
Nutter
Butters, but I put my Nutter Butters on top of French silk pie, so that's what I'm choosing. That's not how it works.
Go ahead. What else is your other one? I want to know.
This is such a weird thing. You know what's really good is a goddamn Moonpie.
Moonpie, there we go.
My boys have decided that they like eating those, and what I see is their mouths aren't big enough to actually eat them, so it looks like they've been digging around in a cat box. Like it's just completely clogged with just fucking just cat shit, just a mouthful.
You eat that cat poop.
Yeah, but they're so good.
I'm going to cut that up to make it sound like he loves feeding his kids cat food.
Oh, man.
And telling them it's a Hostess.
Oh, man. I don't think you've gotten us that good in a while. We're just like rooting around in a cat box.
Just
oh man,
yum yum yum.
All right, Parker, you got one final pick to take the best thing off the board.
Oh shit. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to go with my next favorite though, is Chips Ahoy.
Just Chips Ahoy cookies?
Yeah, I love Chips Ahoy cookies.
How do you spell Ahoy? A-H-O-Y?
Yeah.
You will be sued.
I assume it's just chocolate chip, but I'm just going to give you Chips Ahoy cookies.
Yeah, that's the standard Chips Ahoy.
You just can have them all.
I actually, every other version of them is, I feel, a not just like a step down. It's a plummet to the bottom of a trench. The Chips Ahoy is a pinnacle, and everything else is just a valley.
The soft or the crunchy?
I like the crunchy, the original. Like
okay.
The soft ones also terrible. The soft ones make me soft. I don't want them.
They make me soft.
Yeah.
Also soft.
Yeah.
That
so
that's a soundbite. Wow. Oh man. I don't have a third one though. I can't think of anything that I actually like because I don't buy these things, right? So the best one, zebra cakes.
Okay.
Zebra cakes are apex.
They are really good.
Dude, they're so fucking good.
I actually am not a giant fan. It's the frosting plus the cream inside. I think it's just too much. I can't.
Well, I don't like chocolate, so it's like the only one that doesn't have chocolate in it for the most part.
Yeah.
Our standard for D&D back before you joined the group was we would eat a sleeve of zebra cakes every game session. Oh man, and then that was great for a solid 8 months, but we got to about the 14-16 month range. It was like, okay, we probably had enough zebra cakes. Slow down. This is getting to be a problem. He was buying the Costco one, like the triple stack. It was like 24 zebra cakes. There was 4 of us. Like,
Jesus, man.
That was like when we ate all those goddamn White Castle burgers. Like I'm starting to feel sweaty just thinking about fucking. Oh my god!
Tell you what, though, those first 8 were like nectar of the gods, and then like the second 8 were like I don't know, like cat box soup or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
they start cooling off. They start falling apart. You realize they weren't even made of food, and you're like, oh god.
The first 4 that were hot and fresh were like the fucking.
And you were so hungry.
Dude,
oh my god,
we were dying.
It felt like it was just being absorbed into your body like light.
It was
but then the last 4 is like you're just smearing grease on your face. It's like
punching your face with meat.
Yeah,
onions.
And then you left the bag in the car, so your car smelled like
onions for 3
I know
weeks. It was fucked up.
I bet that's actually why you got a new car. Because
I had to throw it away.
The smell of White Castle out of the car.
Like, well, there goes this car.
It's like when you find a spider in something, you just burn it. That's it.
I just to be clear, on the story of that White Castle trip was, hey, let's go to Portillo's, the regionally famous burger place.
It's horrible.
And even if you don't even need to get food, it's fine. I just hit the drive-thru. I just want a burger, please. And he said no. I was like, okay, well, what do you want to get? He's like, I don't know, let's get like McDonald's or something. I was like, these are not even comparable items. Like one of these is an actual piece of food. The other one is
from
terrible.
McDonald's.
And then we're driving around, and he's like, well, let's go to, what was that, White Castle? Let's go to White Castle.
You said that.
Like,
you were like, White Castle. And I was like,
I
no
said
way.
it as a joke.
Yeah,
I did not actually mean let's go to White Castle. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, are you serious? You want to go? And then we get there, and I'm like, we're going to die. We're going to get rotavirus in this fucking place.
It was the best decision we made on that entire trip.
It was the best thing that happened that entire weekend. It was also the 3 worst things that happened that entire trip.
A suitcase full of hamburgers? You mean that was a bad idea?
They were cheeseburgers. We got cheese.
We did.
Okay, can I choose cheesecake in some form?
No. What would it be called?
Yeah, well, where'd you get that? At a gas station.
Gas station cheesecake?
Does ice cream count? Does prepackaged ice cream count?
I think
it's like individual serving.
Yeah, if you could find it like at Like like they have those little like kiosks at a gas station. Sure, I
Okay.
think that would count.
No, I can't think of anything like that in there.
A nutty cone.
Man, I don't know. I'm just gonna say because everything I can think of doesn't really fit the category. I'm gonna go with Hostess cherry pie.
You son of a fucking bitch.
I didn't want to choose this. I felt I had to.
No, that's a weird thing to say about Hostess cherry pie, but okay.
I felt I had to.
I wanted to choose cheesecake. I'm willing to bet I can find something that will prepackage cheesecake for me.
There is no way.
I will do it. Because, we're being honest, all this stuff is better fresh than preserved, so, but it's the category.
That's the point of the category. Things
All right,
that will be
Parker,
around.
what's your final pick?
I'm
Chips Ahoy cookies soft.
no. I was actually going to go with one of the little kind of mini donuts, but I'm going to let Jeremy have the mini donuts.
Thank you.
So let's go with. I actually really like Nilla wafers, like the
With milk.
Well, honestly, I don't need them with that. I need them with anything, but I will just eat them by themselves. But Nilla wafers are great. They're like the ultimate. I'm just gonna dip this in frosting, or I'll dip this in milk. I'll dip it in like pudding. Like you can put it in anything. But Nilla wafers, I love it.
Okay. Jeremy, your final pick.
White chocolate pretzels.
Mm-hmm. Nice call. That might win the whole thing right there.
I can eat the entire bag of those fucking things on accident.
All right.
I have one honorable mention. Do you guys remember the old powder sugar donuts that would come in the giant weird bag, like the really long, tall bags? They weren't paper
Like
bags.
the white bag?
No, it was a clear bag, and you could see it was always like a bunch of powdered sugar donut like fragments in the bottom of it because slowly over time they would get crushed. But they were big. They were like as tall. They were like as tall as the grocery
I think you're making
bag.
that up.
No, these used to exist. I
don't believe you.
And the funny thing is I haven't seen one in so long. In my house as growing up, there was one on my in my pantry at all times because I love this kind of powdered sugar donuts. And since then, there are a couple different brands make them. I think Little Debbie makes one. I think Hostess makes one, and I just don't like them nearly as much. I don't eat them because they don't taste like these old school powdered sugar donuts. But like I said, I know they don't sell them anymore because I haven't seen them for maybe 15 years.
I would like to honorable mention anything that's made of ice cream or cheesecake.
There's no cheesecake.
Any of that stuff that fits this category, I'm choosing that.
The thing that comes into my mind is we're talking about gas station foods. Where did someone come up with putting fried chicken livers and fried chicken gizzards as a gas station food you can buy?
I don't think people did. I think it was just like a series of accidents.
I was gonna say. I was just gonna say like the South, right? Like,
dude, it's like you got your eggnog in my goat's milk, and it just ended up in this gas station.
I think it's 100% the South. Like,
oh, it is. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The thing that we didn't know was a thing until we moved to Alabama is was it boiled peanuts?
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't know those things. You can get that at every gas station in Alabama. It's just what the fuck? And they just boil peanuts in oil or something, and then they strain it. Is weird.
I think we talked about this before, but I think it's really interesting. Regional gas station stuff in Louisiana, for example. Gas stations are a really big deal in cuisine. They have chefs and kitchens in locally owned gas stations, and not the Quick Trips and that kind of stuff, but. Everybody in the community knows where you can get the best boudin, and it's not a restaurant, it's a gas station where you get the best crackling, you get it at a gas station. There are gumbos that come from gas stations,
yeah. There's an actual restaurant inside as opposed to just convenient food.
Yeah, and it's a big deal. Where you go to get which gas station you go to get your thing, and each one has their little signature.
Mm-hmm. The Midwest has a kind of version of that. It's just super commercialized as opposed to being a true restaurant with a cook.
Right.
Okay. I just want to say for the record that Parker, you have the weirdest white boy selection of fucking desserts. It's Nilla wafers, Chips Ahoy cookies, and honey buns. I'm That's not a person. That's like a Cylon. I don't even know. That's not a real person.
That's
What?
what he is
Why?
guessing.
That's the
people would
amalgamation of what people think people eat. Like, well, probably bananas, maybe some bread.
I am.
Like,
I
what
am
are you
definitely.
doing?
I am definitely a human man, and as a human man, I would choose.
I
these
really
things.
enjoy food nutrition. You're like, what?
Mouth foods.
I think that's really funny. I never thought about what I like before like that, but it's maybe a little true.
What is up, fellow people?
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Well, yours is
Are you
based
also
around
enjoying the day?
his is based around what does not give him ferocious stomach
Mhm.
problems. So it's like what does not kill him. So that's what he's
Yeah.
choosing.
I can't remember what I said. You were playing Zach last week, and I can't remember what I said. It was something along. You guys, Zach said something. You said something silly. Then Zach said something even more silly and ridiculous.
Mhm.
And I just was sitting at the end of the table. I was like, "Look, everyone, Zach's actually a peanut butter and jelly person from the fourth dimension." And he locks eyes with me and sprints for the door. Like, oh, he's found me out. Gotta get out of here. Anyway, all right, let's get into it. You guys
Okay.
ready?
Yep.